Welcome to this explainer. As a design professor, the number one question I get asked, whether it's in interviews by fellow educators or right there in the studio by my own ambitious students, is how on earth we navigate all this anxiety surrounding the AI era. And let's be real, the fear in the studio, it is absolutely palpable. But hey, instead of panicking, we need a game plan. So today, we're going to dig right into the research on how higher education, and specifically highly intellectual professions, have to fundamentally shift to not just survive this wave, but to actually surf it and thrive.
Right off the bat, let's dive into this really provocative thought from Ray Simmons. Most artists cannot draw. Now, I know that sounds like a total paradox, right? But the reality popping out of our source research is that our traditional conveyor belt university system is churning out creators who know the theory backwards and forwards, but absolutely panic when they're asked to create something without a template. We are graduating students who might ace a test on design history, but are totally caught off guard by a market where a machine can spit out 1,000 generic concepts in like 60 seconds. We've got to totally flip the script on what we're producing.
So here's our blueprint for this explainer. We're going to kick things off with the AI wake-up call, then move right into the impact on design professions. After that, we'll explore this concept of the one-man university, dive into learning through serious games, and wrap it all up with human-machine synergy. Let's get into it. All right, part one, the AI wake-up call. We really have to start by getting a grip on what we're actually dealing with here. The research defines systems like large language models as a super intelligent assistant, or SIA. Now, I want you to picture an SIA not as a conscious thinking being, but honestly, more like an incredibly fast, highly read parrot. It literally has zero true consciousness, zero feelings, and no independent will. But it is brilliant at analyzing, formatting, and generating text and images based on massive statistical models. It doesn't actually experience design, it just recognizes and spits back patterns.
Moving on to part two, impact on design professions. Let's unpack what all this pattern matching actually means for us out in the real world.
Will AI replace designers? Man, it is the giant elephant in the room. My students ask me this literally every single week. They say, "Professor, is an algorithm going to steal my job?" To answer that honestly, we need to stop doom scrolling on social media and actually look at the hard data regarding the automation of intellectual tasks. And honestly, the data here is fascinating. Look at this. While routine analytical roles, like radiology, are staring down massive automation risks of up to 70%, and junior lawyers are facing up to 60%, us creatives, the designers, the artists, the architects, we're sitting in a much safer 15 to 25% bracket. Why is that? Well, because while AI can speed-run a legal search or analyze a medical scan in milliseconds, it completely drops the ball when it comes to cultural nuance, deep emotional resonance, and genuine human originality. So it absolutely comes down to understanding this divide. Make no mistake, AI is going to take over the routine generation of variations. If a client wants 50 versions of a logo in a 1920s Art Deco style, the AI knocks that out before you've finished your coffee. But what humans keep, what you need to relentlessly double down on is aesthetic judgment, deep cultural context, and true originality. The algorithm is just a synthesizer, guys. You are the visionary.
Which brings us to part three, the one-man university. Because AI is taking over that routine stuff, our traditional cookie-cutter educational systems are, frankly, becoming obsolete. Let's look at the future workforce through the lens of the Pareto principle, the old 80-20 rule. A pretty stark reality emerges here. Just 20% of employees act as the idea generators, and those folks produce 80% of the organization's value. The rest, they're support workers, finishers, or, unfortunately, redundant. Now, if AI is already gobbling up those finishing and support tasks, higher ed really only has one way forward. We have to pivot our entire focus to cultivating that top 20%. We need to be building idea generators. And to pull that off, we have to completely dismantle the old industrial-era conveyor belt. That standardized mass production of students. The one-man university means we are curating a totally unique, bespoke intellectual assembly line for every single individual. The goal isn't standardizing a graduating class anymore. It's all about diversity and exclusivity of thought. As educators, we have to stop acting like human textbooks, just regurgitating facts that an AI already knows, and start acting like actual mentors guiding a student's unique intellectual journey.
Look at this curriculum outline for information design, integrating technical knowledge and AI literacy directly into our academic coursework. It's not a fun elective anymore, it is absolutely mandatory to prevent our students from de-skilling. A design student today has to know how to prompt, how to manage data, and how to rigorously critique algorithmic outputs just as naturally as they know color theory or typography. The one-man university takes this tech integration and molds it to the specific, innate talents of each student.
All right, part 4, learning through serious games. So you're probably wondering, how do we actually build these customized, highly engaging university experiences in the real world?
Well, that brings us to the whole concept of edutainment and serious games. I want you to think of this like a high-stakes flight simulator, but for creative minds. We're not just playing around here. It's a rigorous mental contest played with a computer, bound by specific rules. It uses that intense, addictive engagement you get from gaming to transfer highly complex skills right into real life. By leaning into game mechanics, we can finally ditch the boring passive lecture and replace it with an active, problem-solving simulation, where students learn by actually getting their hands dirty and experimenting.
Using frameworks like the Norlo system, we use these game mechanics to actually target and train the biological brain, specifically the neocortex, in a safe, simulated space. By giving students immediate feedback and actually rewarding them for taking simulated risks, the system actively pushes them toward advanced, creative, innovative thinking. This kind of gamified, hyper-personalized training is exactly what molds a student into that elite top 20% of idea generators. That's what gives them that unique edge in a crazy competitive market.
And finally, part 5, human-machine synergy. When we weave all these threads together, the ultimate endgame for modern design educators, and really for any aspiring professional, becomes crystal clear.
The wildly successful professional of the next decade is absolutely not going to be the person hiding under their desk pretending AI doesn't exist. No way. It's going to be the person armed with these mandatory skills: deep AI literacy, the critical thinking required to actually evaluate outputs ethically, rock-solid data management, and just endless adaptability. But the ultimate superpower for my students out there, it's human-machine synergy. It's the ability to take your deep human intuition and empathy and seamlessly fuse it with the massive statistical horsepower of the machine.
So everyone can take a deep breath. Artificial intelligence is not going to destroy highly intellectual professions like design. It's just going to fundamentally transform them. Remember, the algorithm is not coming for your soul. It is literally just taking the repetitive grunt work off your plate, speeding up your baseline analysis, and opening up this vast, wildly exciting new space for you to engage in much higher-level strategic thinking and genuine human connection.
The universities of the future must become synergistic hubs, where artificial intelligence is a tool for extending human capability, not a replacement. I love that quote. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in this explainer today. As you head back to your studios, your classrooms, or your desks, I want to leave you with this one question to chew on. How are you going to evolve your own unique one-man assembly line to harness this incredible synergy? I honestly can't wait to see what you all create.